Job, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets.
Happy Tuesday evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? You know what time it is. It's time to chop it up about some good old sports talk, some of those hot takes. And guess what? You're watching the TFG Sports Show, the best 30-minute sports talk show on social media. And I am your host, the sports guy, Kendrick. I hope you all are having a great start to your week, and I hope you are having a cool Tuesday evening, because we are definitely in the middle of the dog days of summer because it is hot, HOTT. It's hot outside, man, and I can't believe I'm complaining about the heat as much as I love it, but woo, I wish we can bring down this temperature just a little bit. But again, we getting ready to get hot in here like Nelly. You come on here and drop in and watch the best sports talk show on social media. Again, I am your host, Kendrick. And before we get started, I need my people to come on in, hit that like, hit that share button. And last but certainly not least, make sure you subscribe to TFG Sports Media on YouTube and on Facebook. Make sure you like the page so you can get all of your sports updates, breaking news, feel-good stories, some not so feel-good stories. We're going to give it to you here, straight with no chaser. So let's get right, before we get to it, we're going to hit our quick hits before we jump into this thing. My first quick hit, Texas running back Keelan Robinson, former Alabama Crimson Tide, the Real Estate Insider. Thanks for joining me, my brother. Yo, what's up? We getting ready to do some quick hits. Keelan Robinson, who's now Texas running back who played for Alabama, he transferred from Alabama. Well, he pawned 3 of his rings during Bama's unbeaten 2020 season on Pawn Stars. I don't know if anybody watches that. I think it's some show. It's one of those reality shows on Pawn Stars. I think it's real popular. Well, according to the report, Keelan Robinson pawned his SEC title ring, his Rose Bowl ring, and his college football playoff ring from the 2020 season. And the estimated value for all 3 of those rings was $60,000. Now, on the show, according to reports, a gentleman brought those rings in. Don't know if Keelan received any of this money. I don't know how this works, but he decided to pawn the rings. Now, the thing about that is, college now has that NIL rule, name, image, and likeness. So players now can sell their stuff, pawn it, do whatever they want to, and won't get in trouble. Now, prior to this, that was against the NCAA rules to pawn or sell anything of your name, image, or likeness. So again, that's a quick hit. Texas running back Keelan Robinson, who played for Alabama, who actually sat out the 2020 season because of the pandemic with Alabama. He decided to pawn his 3 rings from Bama's unbeaten season. Again, they valued at $60,000. Don't know if he received it or not. Now, quick hit number 2. Two legends that's probably going to have beef forever. Former Pistons Isaiah Thomas, him and MJ. If you don't know, you've been asleep. They really don't care for each other. Well, Isaiah Thomas went on his Twitter last week and told MJ to stop lying. What is he telling MJ to stop lying about? According to a report, an interview that MJ did with Playboy back in 1992, MJ said Isaiah Thomas was the lead group of allegedly freezing him out of the 1985 All-Star game. This is according to Michael Jordan, in an interview he had with the with Playboy, and the Inquisitor rehashed it. So Isaiah's like, you know what? I'd had enough. He went on his Twitter and told Mike to stop lying. So we've been keeping an eye on that. I don't know what's going to happen between these two, but, Isaiah's a little bit petty. There's always 3 sides to a story. There's his side, and the truth falls somewhere in the middle. So anyway, that's our quick hit number 2. Quick hit number 3, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who served under George W. Bush, or under George H., which I think it was, son Bush, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, she has joined the Denver Broncos ownership group. What that capacity, what she would position she will hold, hasn't been stated yet. But according to reports, she is going to be part of this ownership group that have bought the Denver Broncos. If you don't know, the Walmart heirs, the Walton heirs, have placed their bid. Looks like it's going to be finalized in the next 60 days. They bought the Broncos for, I think, roughly $4.6 billion. Condoleezza Rice now is going to be part of that ownership group, as well as Melody Hopkins is part of it. So we got 2 African-American females that will be part of ownership of the Denver Broncos. And last but certainly not least, quick hit number 4, it's MJ again. We got the young fella out of Memphis, the Grizzlies all-star guard Ja Morant, said back in the 90s era, if he played then, he would have cooked MJ back then. And as I reported on that story, I chuckled to myself. I'm like, nah, young fella, you might have been cooked. You might have been cooking, but you wouldn't have been cooking Mike. You probably been cooking some hot dogs or some hamburgers or some some fries. You've been on the fry basket, but you definitely wouldn't have been cooking Mike. You probably would have been getting cooked. So anyway, so that's been one of the hot topics as well. Ja Morant, if you haven't noticed, he's been in the news a couple of times already in the last couple of days. So those are our quick hits. Now let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Mr. Producer, we're going to talking about this trade that finally happened. Baker Mayfield, former Cleveland Browns quarterback, now is a Panther. Baker Mayfield was traded to the Panthers last week. He was traded for a 2024 conditional 5th round selection, which has become a 4th round selection. The Browns will pay Mayfield's $10.6 million this season, and the Panthers will pay the other that's owed to him, $5 million. So he would roughly get $15.6 million between the 2 teams. Mayfield actually agreed to take a pay cut. He left $3.5 million on the table just because he wanted out of Cleveland. Now, Mayfield is a number 1 pick from the 2018 draft out of Oklahoma, and he is in the 5th and final year of his rookie contract. For his career, Mayfield has completed 61.6% of his passes. He's thrown for 14,125 yards, 92 touchdowns, and 56 interceptions. Now, another report came out soon after this trade was made, a couple of days later. According to a report, Mayfield was viewed as childish and immature by some of his teammates and some of Cleveland Browns management. Now, I always find this interesting. After a player is traded or he leaves or goes to another team, then all the negative reports start coming out. That's kind of what we call, don't we call that two-faced? Like when people talk behind your back but don't say it in your face. So, yeah, this report that came out and said that a couple of his teammates and some Cleveland Brown management thought that they looked at him as being childish and immature. And I'll be honest with you, those rumors had been going around for a minute. So that wasn't a shock when I saw that report. I think we can all say Baker Mayfield has somewhat wore out his welcome in Cleveland. There's reports of him and head coach Kevin Stefanski didn't see eye to eye. Actually, Mayfield had an issue with Stefanski missing some sort of meeting, and he kind of pouted about it and was immature about the whole situation. And that's not a good look, man, when you're the starting quarterback of any NFL franchise. You got to hold yourself to a different standard. I think we saw this at Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield would do things, but then at that moment, you just chalk it up as him being a college kid, 18, 19, 20 years old. You're going to do, college dude, you're going to do that. But when you become a professional, it's time, especially when they're paying you all this money, it's time to say, player, it's time to, this is a business now. Yeah, we didn't invest some money in you, so we need to hold you to a higher standard, and you represent this franchise, and we trying to win. So those reports came out. Again, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. Obviously, there was an issue with Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. If you recall, his Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad, Odell Sr., actually posted some video to his Twitter or Instagram, showing just how lackluster Mayfield was as far as throwing the ball to his son. How he would miss him. A lot of times he was open. Mayfield wouldn't throw him the ball, and when he did, he was either short or he threw it long or at his feet. So that was really the rift that happened between Beckham Jr. and Mayfield. And then guess what? Odell Beckham Jr. ended up being, I think he was traded, and he ended up going on to win the Super Bowl. So Odell Beckham Jr. did. So Mayfield is heading to Carolina. Now, the interesting thing, Carolina has another quarterback on their roster by the name of Sam Darnold, who was in that same, I believe, that same draft. He was in the same draft class with Mayfield. So they got two like top 10 quarterbacks on their roster now. And both of them haven't really lived up to their draft stock. And so both are in their 5th year of their rookie deal. So this is a make or break year. Who will start? Will it be Mayfield? Will it be Darnold? Will they look to try to maybe move Darnold? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the Panthers do at the quarterback position. Plus, they did draft a quarterback in this past draft, Matt Corral, the young man out of North Carolina, I believe. So again, this had been long overdue. Mayfield wanted out after the Browns started courting Deshaun Watson, and then they finally traded for Watson, and Mayfield just felt like he was disrespected on all fronts. And I kind of saw his viewpoint. It's kind of like, you being married to someone and you've all somewhat filed. You kind of, one of the people has filed for the divorce, but you still living in the same house. That's kind of that's kind of how that situation was with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. So again, the Carolina Panthers, they still trying to find a quarterback. They hadn't really had, outside of, after Cam Newton, then they had Teddy Bridgewater for a year or two. They've kind of been unsettled at that position as well. So sometimes a fresh start somewhere new, it can revive a career. We'll see with Baker Mayfield. I'm not sold on it, but I think he's a solid quarterback, but I don't think he's that guy to take you to that next level. So the Panthers going to have their work cut out on them. As far as the Browns, they still waiting on what's going to happen with Watson because, this suspension is still up in the air. I mean, he's going to be suspended, but now people are saying it's looking like he may only be suspended maybe 6 to 8 games. That's the new rumor out in the street. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, Mr. Producer, let's hit that next hot topic. We getting ready to talk about these. How about them Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys? Yeah, they always find a way to create a little bit of controversy. So the Dallas Cowboys have went into a partnership with a coffee company goes by the name of Black Rifle Coffee Company. This is a coffee brand that basically is somewhat owned. I think it's owned by veterans, and they support the veterans and gun rights. Well, unfortunately, some of the brews and some of the brand names for these coffees are a little bit disturbing. Like AK Espresso, Murdered Out, and Silent and Smooth Coffee Espresso. And I'm not a coffee drinker, number one. And number two, I wouldn't buy this brand anyway. But the company said that this announcement had been long planned to correspond with the 4th of July. Well, I guess, and they made this announcement last Tuesday, which was the 5th. Well, if you didn't know, July 4th, mass shooting in Highland Park, Illinois. 7 people shot and killed. Tuesday morning, Cowboys make an announcement. They go into a partnership with a coffee company called the Black Rifle Coffee Company. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but if I was part of the marketing for the Cowboys, I was like, wait a minute now. I think today may not be a good day to do this. I don't understand the logic in doing this, making this announcement, considering the massive gun violence that's going on in the country right now. It's just shootings, all the time. We had a shooting just yesterday in California, 7-Eleven. Some guys robbed 7-Eleven, shot 4 people. But the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, it's about money. It's about business. He could care less about how it looks. It's about the brand. And the ironic thing about this, the Cowboys just last month had donated $400,000 to support the families and the victims of the Uvalde Elementary School shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And then they go out and have a partnership with Black Rifle Coffee Company. Now, check this out. They're giving away 2 free tickets to a game this fall. And a free subscription to Black Rifle Coffee Company. I say, Jerry, y'all might as well just hand out guns too. Won't y'all give away free guns? Might as well. Just as a bad look. And then to top that off, there's a player on the roster at this moment, cornerback Kelvin Joseph, who was involved in a situation in a Dallas nightclub a couple of months ago. He wasn't the shooter, but a crew that he was with had an issue with some fellas, and some shots were fired, and a young man lost his life. 2 men have been arrested that Kelvin Joseph knew with some friends from back in Louisiana. So now you got not only do you go into this partnership with this company, but you have a player on your roster that was involved in a situation that was gun violence that took the life of a young man from East Texas. And so, we don't know the situation on Kelvin Joseph. Don't know where that investigation is, but he hasn't been charged. But I'm sure the NFL will look into this, and he may be suspended for some games just for being involved. So this Cowboys, it's always it's always something new with this organization. I think the distractions. I think again, this was a bad time to make this announcement, even if you've already made the deal. But again, I get it. It's about money. It's about money. At the end of the day, that's basically what businessmen they make moves and could care less. Jerry was big on telling his players too back in 2016 when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, and he basically told his players to toe the line. So if one of y'all kneeled, you weren't going to be on this team. But then he goes around, and then he goes in partnership with a Black Rifle Coffee Company with all these shootings that happen, and then happening one right in the state of Texas. So again, that's not going to stop fans from watching the Cowboys, and it's not going to stop fans from going to the games. I get it. I just think this was definitely a bad look and a bad time to make that announcement. But what do I know? I'm just a guy that like to talk sports. So anyway, so good luck with that partnership. Again, I'm sure the fans will still pack out AT&T Stadium. All right, Mr. Producer, let's move on to the next topic. And speaking of another guy that loves money, former WWE CEO Vince McMahon paid out hush money to 4 women because of some alleged sexual indiscretions that he had over roughly 16 years. Now, according to reports, Vince McMahon paid $12 million to 4 women alleging sexual misconduct allegations. He paid 4 women at least $12 million over 16 years to hide allegations of sexual misconduct. Now, he stepped away from his CEO duties, and his daughter, Stephanie McMahon, now is acting CEO. McMahon is being investigated by the WWE board. According to some reports, according to a report, McMahon paid $7.5 million in 2018 to a former wrestler. And then in 2008, he paid $1 million to a WWE contractor who had some nude photos of Vince McMahon. And in 2006, he paid $1 million to a former WWE manager. And then in 2022, a $3 million payment to the former paralegal who allegedly had an affair with McMahon. So as you can see, at first I thought, okay, is this a new storyline? I used to be a big wrestling guy, but I don't watch much now, the new school wrestlers. And when I first saw this story come out, I was okay, this must be some new storyline for E. But nope, it was confirmed. He has been these women have come forward. Now, they according to the reports, these women had signed NDA, which was non-disclosure agreements. So I guess so much for that. Those non-disclosure agreements, because they got the money and they said, you know what, we getting ready to spill the beans. So where does this leave Vince McMahon as far as with WWE? Only time will tell. Again, he's been investigated by the WWE board. So how does that work? the WWE board is investigating the CEO of WWE. I'm assuming Vince McMahon pays that board. So are they truly really investigating Vince McMahon? I think it's laughable. I don't think so. But that's according to reports is what's going on to WWE. I wish some of my wrestling fans was in here to tell me. I think they do Monday Night SmackDown. I was wondering if Vince was a part of that last night, or was they took the night off. I just want to know where this, just want to know if he's still gonna be showing his face around, or is he allowed to at certain WWE events. Again, his daughter Stephanie McMahon is now acting CEO and acting on his behalf, or on WWE behalf, I should say, not on her dad's behalf. Now, Vince McMahon is married. Don't know how long he's been married, but I'm assuming he's probably been married 25, 30 plus years. So money and power. When a man got money and power, it's just like a drug. They feel invincible. They Superman. We can do it all. We can do it all. We throw you a little money over here and we hush you up. Well, sometimes that hush money comes back to bite you. And it looks like this hush money has come back to bite Vince McMahon. So I'm sure the WWE will still roll on. It ain't gonna miss a beat. Uh, I'm sure Stephanie McMahon knows how to run that organization. And I'm sure she's probably been running, according to one of our faithful watcher, Shantae Gibson. She says Stephanie has been running it anyway for the last couple of years. So I'm quite sure the WWE will roll on, but I just want to see what will happen with this investigation. It hasn't become criminal at this point. Again, all I know is the WWE board is investigating Vince McMahon, and I just want to know how that works. If he is WWE and he paid him, so we'll see. And I'm gonna keep you updated on that. Let you know, guys, all my wrestling fans, y'all let me know if y'all know something about this investigation. You got some ears to the street. So anyway, let's move on to our next topic. This is a real good story. And they need some good news considering all that this organization has been through the last year. Las Vegas Raiders hired first black woman as team president in NFL history. Congratulations to this sister. Her name is Sandra Douglas Morgan. She's 44 years old, and she's a Las Vegas native. She's a graduate of the University of Nevada, Reno, and UNLV. She was the first black city attorney in Nevada. She's the first person of color. She was the first person of color named chair of the Nevada Gaming Control Board, and that happened in 2019. She's an independent director at Allegiant Airlines, Caesars Entertainment, Fidelity, National Financial, and the Raiders hired her as the first team president. Again, her name is Sandra Douglas Morgan, 44 years old. I mean, that's definitely much respect to the Raiders for doing that. This woman, this sister, she seems to have all the credentials to be the team president. She said all the right things in her introductory press conference. She's the first. She's a Las Vegas native, so she's there for to make sure that this franchise moves forward. Again, this franchise has been under scrutiny. With the John Gruden fallout with the emails that happened back in the fall of last year. Then you had the Henry Ruggs III horrific accident where he killed a young lady. And then they had another player that was eventually cut for brandishing weapons on. I mean, just doing some crazy stuff. And then it's been some reports of alleged workplace environment issues with the Raiders. Outgoing team president who was let go basically insinuated and said that there were some workplace issues. Now Miss Morgan, hopefully she can come in and clean that up. It's funny they bring in these African American women to clean up some of these workplace situations. I don't know if you guys recall, but the Mavericks had some issues too, and they brought in an African American woman. Mark Cuban did to steady the ship or to clean some stuff up. So the Raiders hired the first black female team president in the history of the NFL. Again, the Raiders have always been proactive in hiring minorities. The Raiders were the first team to hire a black head coach, the late great Art Shell. They hired him in 1989. They also hired Tom Flores, who was the first. I can't remember his nationality. I think first Mexican American, I believe, head coach to hold a head coaching position in the NFL. So Al Davis has always been a maverick, the late great Al Davis, but he's always been in the forefront of hiring minorities. As a matter of fact, I believe Reggie McKenzie. Well, I don't know if he's still there. I believe he's general manager with the Raiders as well. So again, hats off to now owner Mark Davis for hiring whom I feel is the best person for the job. I know a lot of times, you know, people of color, we got to be twice as good to get in that position. And I believe Sandra Douglas Morgan is that woman. Now, if we can just get some more ownership, get some black ownership. Earlier in the show, I mentioned that Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, is going to be part of the Denver Broncos ownership group, which will be owned by the Walton heir family of the Walmart corporation. So again, we had a lot. Then we just had last week, we had Mike Greer hired as I believe the GM of the San Jose Sharks, the first black ever to hold a GM position in the NHL. So we've had some very historic hirings here in the last week or so. So again, couldn't be more happy for Sandra Douglas Morgan. Again, she's a graduate of University of Nevada, Reno, UNLV. She was the first black city attorney in Nevada. She was the first person of color named to the chair of the Nevada Gaming Board in 2019, and she's an independent director at Allegiant Airlines, Caesars Entertainment, Fidelity National Financial. Again, she's 44 years old, native of Las Vegas, and she now is the new team president of the Las Vegas Raiders. So we want to say salute to you, Sandra Douglas Morgan. We know you're going to do great things, and hopefully we can get that organization, clean it up if it is some stuff that need to be cleaned up, and get that organization back on track. So we down to our final thoughts. I want to say thanks to the Real Estate Insider for dropping in, giving me a shout out. Again, if you come in real quick before we get out of here, got about 3 minutes. Make sure you come in, hit that like, hit that share, comment button. Make sure you share this to all your social media platforms. This is TFG Sports Media. Make sure you like it on Facebook, and make sure you go over to YouTube, click that like, click that share, and most definitely click that subscribe button as well as the notification button to be alerted when new content is uploaded, because I do upload new content, man. We at 577 subscribers over there, man. We started that channel a year ago, and it's grown to 577. But this ain't it. We got to get more. We got more. We building it brick by brick. But we got to get to 1,000. So I need your help. Come on, a year ago we started with 8. Now we're at 577. So I appreciate that. And I want to say thank you to all those that have subscribed to the channel and support the channel and support this show and come in and share it and comment and like and all that. So again, make sure you go over to TFG Sports Media on YouTube, that channel. Make sure you subscribe to it, hit that notification button, and go check out a story that I posted a couple of hours ago on Pierre Goree, football player, track star out of straight out of Duncanville High School, out of Duncanville, Texas, that's going to SMU, who so happens to don't have it. SMU doesn't have a track team. But go check out my story I posted on Pierre Goree. And the go means go get him, young fella, because he can that young fella he got some wheels on it. So go over to TFG Sports Media on YouTube, check it out, and hit that like, hit that share button, and post it on your social media platform. So again, my final thoughts is, going back to minority hirings and more black ownership, I would say that we still got a long way to go. Hats off and salute Sandra Douglas Morgan, salute Condoleezza Rice and Melody Hobson, who's part of an ownership group now with the Broncos. And I salute Mike Greer, the new GM of the San Jose Sharks. But we still got a long way to go. We got to get more ownership in these professional sports, especially the NFL, because it's still lagging behind when 80% of your players are African American, and not one black owner in the NFL. That's an issue. So again, I like the hires. It makes you feel good and fuzzy inside, but we still ain't got no power. We still need some power. We need the money and the power. We need the money and the power. I don't care what nobody say. Money talks, BS walks. And that's my opinion. So again, thank you guys for watching. Thank Real Estate Insider for watching. And thanks everybody to tune in. If you watch this later, make sure you leave a comment, whatever. Hit that like, share button again to all your social media platforms. And I got to take a sip out my Green Bay cup. I got to say go Packers, because we 2 weeks away from NFL training camp. And on that note, you can catch me here next Tuesday at 6:30. Every Tuesday at 6:30. I'm your sports guy, Kendrick. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you on the other side. I'm out. Peace.
That money clip us now, the new now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, 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 whoa. I hit record it, drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it.